Hi, how are you?
So good. It's so nice to meet you.
It's so nice to meet you too. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Well, welcome to the Art Coaching Club podcast. Tiffany, can you start with just introducing yourself? And let's start with your story. Can you share a little bit about your background and how it shaped your approach to building a brand like Avenue 8?
Yes, I'm Tiffany Jones, and I'm the founder of Avenue 8 Cocktails. And I actually spent 22 years in the interior design world. And after COVID, I decided that that wasn't really working for me anymore. Like it just had lost its sparkle and its joy. And I wanted to do something else, but I didn't exactly know what that would be. And I thought maybe it would be a fabric line or a wallpaper line or something that sort of lent itself to my previous background. But lo and behold, this little cocktail company has found me, and here we are. So we are a brand new, just launched in March, female founded canned cocktail brand, award winning already. And we're organic and we're made for women by women and really are trying to disrupt the current space on the market.
I love it. And I'm so excited to dive into kind of all of those things you just highlighted. Can you start with maybe let's take it back to when you first realized there was a real gap in the ready to drink cocktail space? Where did this idea come from? I mean, how do you go from design to canned cocktails?
I actually was not a canned cocktail drinker until my kids went to college. And then after going to all of these parents' weekends and visiting them at school and all of these parties and being offered all of these canned cocktails, I was like, what, first of all, what is this? And then second of all, after 8 years, there was nothing that I wanted to drink. They were all really sweet and really sugary and just really overly carbonated. And I just felt like I wasn't the market for that, but I had come to really appreciate the convenience of what a canned cocktail stood for. And I wasn't a beer drinker. So I just started doing some research and I didn't really like what I found. So I had to create my own.
Yeah, and I love what you're doing because I had the same realization. I think when I was in college, there was, less on the market than there is now, and I never really had any interest in the canned cocktail space at that time, although it makes sense. You're like, it is so
Right.
easy, but I had the same realizations you did. They were too sweet, or I was like, is this like, what is in this? Is it chemicals? Like, who knows? So I'd love for you just to talk about kind of that lack of transparency in the ready to drink market. Like, what did you start to learn as you kind of dive deeper into this?
Um, I did not know as a consumer that all of the 95% of the things on the market in the alcohol space, as well as the food space, are owned by the same 5 or 6 conglomerates. And so then that started to really make sense to me about why all of these drinks tasted the same, because they were quite literally the same thing. They were mass produced by
Right.
the big companies and just had a different label on them. And what I also learned was that the FDA does not regulate the alcohol market. And so there's no requirement of any of these companies to have to put on the label what the ingredients are or what the calories are or the sugar content or the carbs or anything like that. And we have now, like in the last probably year or so, started to see more people doing that on their own without the regulation. But I really was like, how do I want to drink that? Why do I want to drink this if I don't know really what's in it? And the illusion of cocktail to me was that it was an alcohol base, a vodka base or a tequila base or a gin base or whatever. And that's not necessarily the case. Many of these cocktails are actually malt based or wine
Mhm.
based. And that makes a complete difference in all of the things, in the sugar content, the calories, and all of that. So it was really important to us to be super transparent with our labeling and really clean and very mindful about the ingredients that we chose to put in them.
Right. And I think it's so interesting. And I don't think enough people even realize it. But if you turn around, a beer or most canned cocktails, there's nothing on there. I mean, there's, the Surgeon General's warning and like maybe some
Exactly.
some nice branding, but it doesn't show the calorie content unless it's low and they want to like brand it on that. But yeah,
Exactly.
none of this is in there. So I think it's great that you were focusing on this, but then what did you do next? How did you actually start to do something with this information?
Well, one of the two really important pieces of information that I learned through all of this research was that one, all of these conglomerates are owned by men. All these drinks are formulated for the most part by men, but men actually have 30% less taste buds than women. So the way they
Wow.
process sugars and the way their bodies process carbonation is completely different than we do. I also learned that there's only 8% of the workforce in the alcohol industry as women. So with those two pieces of knowledge, when I decided that I was going to move forward with this, it became really important to only engage women in the production process, the formulation process, the branding process, and really sort of bring a new presence to the alcohol industry in the brand that we were building.
That's amazing. I mean, I guess it's not shocking that it's only 8% women. I mean, I guess that I could see that now that I really think about it and people I know that are in that industry, but it's crazy considering that just as many women, or I'm assuming close to it, drink. And so you would think they would have a bigger stake,
Right.
especially since we have different taste buds. I mean, who knew? That's crazy.
Well, I mean, just like you coming from a design background, an art background, an interior design background, whatever, like we've never really been in the situation where men were telling us, no, you couldn't do something, or not being, having a seat at any table because
Right.
that's our whole world, right? So it was a whole completely different, I've had to learn how to do business in a very different way than I ever have before.
I'm sure. And what has that been like? What has it been like to build a women-led, women-first brand in completely male-dominated space?
Well, it's really interesting because people that are work for legacy brands and legacy distributors in the industry, they really are a little bit dismissive, to be honest. But when we talk to women about it, they're like, "Oh my God, where has this been? Like, I've been waiting for this to make. Oh, I'm so excited! Like somebody actually thought about me in the formulation and the production process." And so it's it's wildly exciting on one side, and then you just have to put on a thick coat of armor and sort of push through how business has been done and all the people telling you that you can't do it because it doesn't fit the same model that everything else on the market does.
I'm sure. And I mean, I think that's almost like the fuel to your fire. Like it is different. And I think that's
100%.
amazing. Can you
Yeah.
talk about why you're different? I mean, you have women leading the charge, obviously, but also what makes the product better? Why are women like, yes, we've been wanting this? Can you speak to that a little bit?
On a couple different levels. We'll start with the inside the juice first. And because so many of these other products are, like we spoke earlier, are mass produced and they're really not about, it's really a margin play for them and how inexpensively they can make the drinks and have the biggest profit. And we've chosen to do a production process that is more expensive because it allows us to be a cleaner drink. And we've chosen to use organic ingredients and not use any preservatives, no added sugars, and no artificial sweeteners, which that alone sets us apart from just about everything else.
Unheard of, I feel like.
Um, from a branding perspective, I think we've also come about it in a different way because this is not nobody on my team in any capacity, from brand strategist to the creative team to the formulation team, like none of them has any prior experience with alcohol. So we've come at it from a really design oriented perspective, and we
Mhm.
want it to be beautiful and we want it to be pretty on, it's already pretty on the inside because it's organic and it's clean, but we wanted it to be even prettier on the outside so that we're attracting we're attracting the consumer that believes in what we're doing.
Right. And how has your background, obviously in design, and I'm sure, other people on your team have backgrounds in creative fields as well. How has that influenced, both the can design, but also your marketing strategy? I mean, what are you thinking about when you're everything from designing the can to the box to who's distributing it to how you're marketing it on socials, all of that stuff?
Well, with using my interior design background, it was really, it when you're really doing great interior design, it's really all about the details, really, and just, the last little
Mhm.
like thing that you put on it that makes it all kind of come together. And so we went about that same process with the can and the packaging to just really make it look different than anything else that was on the market. From a marketing perspective and how we've gone after that, like so many, again, to go back to because there are so many men in the industry, regardless of what the product is, whether it's beer or a canned cocktail, sometimes even a bourbon, it's many times marketed with women in bikinis, or women on the beach, and we've chosen to go completely opposite direction and not use any sort of beach bikini, anything that we would consider really not classy marketing. We've really tried to take a high road and really set ourselves apart with just being sophisticated, right?
Right.
Just being the truth about what our product is.
Well, and I would assume your customer can see themselves in those ads more. I mean, it, you can tell an ad made by a man versus I'm assuming what
Right,
you're
right.
doing, which is pretty impressive. And it's funny, when I was in college, I was studying business and art, and I always had this, I don't know, side idea for a job. And I would always tell my friends, I want to be a beer can designer because I was randomly one of those girls that liked beers. And I was like, all of their cans could be so much better because
Oh,
you can
exactly.
tell they're all boring or they're designed by men. So it's funny now that you're doing this and you're talking about how into the design elements you are because it's so important. I think people completely write it off. I think everything from obviously the can itself, that's, how you get noticed on a shelf, but even to the ads you're doing. I mean, you want to speak to your exact customer, not just another person on the beach, because that other person on the beach can buy whatever, and they might not be drinking your canned cocktail then anyway. You never know.
Exactly. And we wanted the can design to be, in the back of my head when I was growing up, my grandmother would always say, girls, please pour your beer into a glass. Like, do not,
Yes.
like just be a little more respectful, like,
Yeah.
have it in a glass. And so in the back of my head, this whole entire time through this design process was my grandmother. Like, would my grandmother think that this looks pretty enough to like be in a can? And so that's sort of how we ended up with it being just really pretty and that you wouldn't be embarrassed to set it on a dining room table if you were, entertaining in the summertime. And so we've really come, I think, done our design team has
Hmm.
really done a good job with that.
Definitely. And I agree. How do you balance, though, creating that luxurious, elevated product and brand while also keeping it, accessible and convenient for your audience? Like, how did you figure out exactly who your audience was and how to kind of meet them in the middle of it's accessible, it's approachable, but, it's also not just your average, PBR Bud Light.
Right. Well, I think the biggest driver for that, which I've been really surprised about, I mean, we designed it specifically for a target market that was over 40.
Mhm.
Um, but it's been amazing the reaction that we've had really across the board of all ages. And I think, and while it is a higher price point than anything else really on most of the things on the market, what's really been interesting is that even like the younger girls, in their 20s, they're like, I'll pay for that because I know what's in it and because it's clean and I want to drink clean. And so we're all about, if you're going to drink, we want to be as clean as you can possibly have.
Well, I completely agree. And I think as somebody, I'm 29, so I'm in that in between, it's something I could see my mother drinking. It's something I could see my younger sister who's, a little bit just out of college drinking. And I think there's such a movement. Obviously, as you get older, you care more about these types of things. But I think really across the board, people are really putting their health first. They want to know what's going into their bodies. And there's a premium on that. I am definitely in the place where I'm not trying to drink a ton. I'd rather spend the money and drink one drink, two drinks that are really good. I know what's in them and they're not, I'm not putting some weird thing in my body.
Exactly. And we did a whole bunch of market research before we even started the process. And we interviewed 750 women across the country that sort of fit our demographic. And interestingly enough, it came back with they wanted a higher alcohol percentage. And I was very surprised
Interesting.
at that. And it was because they would rather drink less and drink better. And so we have an 8% alcohol where most canned cocktails and beers have a 4.5 or
Mhm.
5%. And we did a lot of testing around that with our taste groups to sort of see where the right place was to sort of land with that percentage. And everybody came back with the same thing. I want to drink less, but I want to drink better. And I think we've really hit a nice sweet spot because we fall sort of in between a beer and a glass of wine. And so you know exactly where you are with that.
Right. I think, and that's a great way to explain it too for people who are, are curious about that alcohol content. But I think it's such interesting information. And I love that you did that level of research before because I don't think that's something I would have thought of. But now that you're explaining it, I'm like, oh, that does make sense. I would want
Exactly.
I don't want to be bloated from drinking so much liquid, but if I can get, higher alcohol content and sip on it, it also makes you feel like you're drinking a more luxurious glass of wine or something than throwing back like can after can after can. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What has been something that's maybe surprised you since launching Avenue 8? And it could be either like a piece of research or something that's worked or hasn't worked in marketing, just anything about the industry or customers or yourself since launching this brand.
To be completely honest, I've been so surprised at the reception to it. I mean, like I knew that I was putting out a good product because I just wouldn't put it out there if I didn't think I was putting out something that was good. It's not, I mean, I had no intention of becoming part of the alcohol industry. So if I
Mhm.
was going to do it, I was going to do it. And from
Yeah.
the very beginning, we were like, if we want what goes into the can to be as important as the person drinking it. But I didn't know that that was going to resonate with so many people. And it's really been fun to see how many people, almost everyone, knock on wood, really loves the product when they try it, at least one of the three flavors, which is great.
Yeah, I love that. Well, kind of on the flip side, what have been either one or what's been, one of the biggest challenges you faced in creating a premium cocktail brand, but also just switching industries? I mean, as an
Right.
entrepreneur, what have been challenges or a challenge you faced?
Well, it's very different to market a product versus marketing yourself. And
Yeah.
in the design world, right? I mean, all of my business came from referrals. Like I didn't really have to do any marketing. And this is all about, quite frankly, marketing warfare, and I'm not some big conglomerate that has a bunch of money behind it. I'm just having to build the brand one person at a time, one brick at a time to sort of build the house of Avenue 8. And so that's very different when marketing is literally one-to-one, hand-to-hand combat, and it's based on getting people to try the cocktails.
Yeah.
The other thing I didn't really expect, even though I had researched this, I wasn't expecting there to be such hard parameters in the industry about welcoming a new brand in. Like
Mhm.
there's so many rules that all of these old guys play and that they set themselves. And if you want to play their game, you have to play by their rules. They're not really open to innovation and hearing really what the consumer wants. And so that's been really eye-opening as well.
Oh my gosh, it's so interesting. I mean, it's so different, I'm assuming than interior design and so many of the women listening are, creatives, they're artists, they're running their own businesses and they really are, even if you're selling artwork, you're selling a product, you're still selling yourself in a lot of ways like you are with design. I mean, hearing this, I think it's so different, but it's so interesting. And I think it's just hearing your story has really like lit something in me. I just want to hear more, but it's so interesting. But I'd love to know how has stepping into this new industry, which is obviously extremely different, shifted your perspective on creativity and entrepreneurship? Like, what are you really enjoying, or the things you're struggling with? Just like, how has it shifted your perspective in those ways?
Well, I mean, it's made me realize that I probably should have done a shift into something before I did. But to be honest, I mean, again, this sort of found me. I wasn't really looking to do this.
Right.
Um, it's even on the days that it's tough, which there are a lot of, it's one step forward, three steps back, almost every day. It's still so much fun because it is learning, and it is something new that I feel excited about and I feel really passionate about. And it's just, I don't know, it's created a new sense of joy just to know that I'm bringing something to the market where I felt that there was a hole in the space, and to see other people's reactions to it, it's just really fun.
I'm sure. Well, I'd love to ask you, what is one piece of advice you could give to a creative, an entrepreneur thinking about either making a bold pivot, trying something new, or even like you did, entering a new industry?
I would say don't wait till you have it all figured out to get started, because especially coming from the design world, interior design, we're most of the time, very type A, and you don't present the plan to the client until it's all like perfectly sorted and everything's picked out and all that. And this, if I had waited until I had everything perfectly sorted and researched and I knew what I was doing, I'd still be researching. And so don't wait. I mean, especially if it's something new, that you're learning to do, just jump off and figure it out as you go because you're burning daylight if you don't. And somebody else has that idea too, and it's okay to just jump.
Right. And I feel like you learn so much as you go. I mean, in any career, even if you're staying in your own path, you learn so much in the doing. And I think so many people wait too long to start. And it's like you're just prolonging, you're going to hit roadblocks. So why not try to hit them now so you can get past them?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, can you give us a little sneak peek into what is next for Avenue 8? What are things you're working on? Maybe some things you're excited about. You don't have to give everything away, but just anything that's exciting that's going on with Avenue 8.
Well, we're just continuing to sort of build the brand and get our name out. We are available direct to consumer, so we are available to ship to 45 of the 50 states. And we just want to put out a product that women feel good about and makes them feel good about themselves and brings honestly a sense of community to what they're doing. It's not really so much just about drinking. It is about creating a sense of community where other women feel like they have a voice and where their voice is heard with their friends, with their family, and creating memories along the way. So it's really just continuing to build on that.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm sure so many people listening, I mean, again, my audience is, I feel like your your clients, your ideal customer, just it's so many women, so many people that would believe in a story like yours and would want a product like this. Can you share just for people that are new to the brand, what are the flavors right now? It sounds like they can purchase direct, which is easy, but anything else they need to know to grab a can today?
We have three flavors. We have two that are vodka. We have a strawberry lemonade
Um,
and a pear ginger with vodka. And we have a blood orange and yuzu paloma with 100% agave spirit, which is actually 100% blue Weber agave tequila from Jalisco, Mexico. But we won't can it in Mexico, so we can have control over the production process. So legally, we're not allowed to call it tequila, but it is 100% organic tequila. So those are our three flavors. We really tried to take a more elevated approach to our flavor profiles, and because we wanted this to be a more sophisticated product in the market. And they are available online. Yes.
This sounds so good. If it wasn't 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, I would be running to the store right now. But that sounds amazing. What is your favorite to round us out? Which is your favorite
Oh,
if you have one?
my favorite is probably the pear ginger.
Yeah, I love a ginger drink. I think they're underrated. It's so good, so refreshing.
And that's one actually that's really not very prevalent on the market. I can only think of one other brand that has a pear something flavor. And
Right.
so it's pretty unique to us and we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about it. I'm excited for the audience to try. Can you share how people can shop Avenue 8? So the website, social media, any way they can find this product and learn more about your story and the drink itself.
Yes. So the website is drinkavenue8, the number 8.com. And you'll find everything you need to know on the website. It tells you all about how we got started. You can read our brand story. You can read all about the individual cocktails, and you can read other press we've had, the awards that we've been winning, which is really fun. And for your listeners, we will share a little special code. We'll do a VIP ship free, VIP ship free. If you put that in the checkout, you can not have to pay for shipping.
Amazing. Well, I will be using that personally, and I will put it in the show notes as well so that everyone can have that. But thank you so much. This has been great. I also feel like it's the perfect timing, like it being summer, it being a heat wave right now. I'm like, this just is exactly what I want after work on a weekend. So I love it.
Amazing. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me, Haley.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you and have a great rest of your day.
Amazing. You too.